This is the Every F and FF podcast. I'm Curtis Ware.
I'm Carl Germ.
I'm Alex.
All right, and together we're
Here.
yeah, that's right. Okay, what are we doing this week, y'all?
Oh yeah, what are we doing?
We're talking about some limit breaks, I think, right?
I believe we are talking about some limit breaks and some ultimate weapons,
but not
yeah.
ultimate.
but not ultimate
Not
weapons.
to be confused with the weapons that we talked about on last episode,
Yeah,
which I finally beat.
yeah, I know. Yeah, we got the weapons done. We're done. Yeah.
Yeah, I finally beat. If you recall from the weapons episode, I was saying how I didn't beat them yet, and then that night when I left where we were recording the podcast, I was driving home on I-95 going north, and I hit the worst fucking traffic in the world, and I still had my Switch with me. It still had battery life and everything, so I took the time of being in stop-and-go traffic for literally an hour, going less than a mile, to beat Ruby Weapon.
Nice.
I'd just like to point out that the Every F and FF podcast does not endorse playing Switch while you're driving.
Yes,
Or do
as a
we?
podcast, we do not, but as a personal thing, I definitely do, because it kicks ass. But only if you can beat it. Only if you can beat a hard boss.
Yeah, if you lose to Ruby Weapon and get in a crash, that's just
Then
embarrassing.
Man,
If you get a game over in your car, you get a game over in real life.
Game over in your car, game over in real life.
God, now I want to get a mobile hotspot for tours so I can stream from the van.
Yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Gamers in cars getting limit breaks. Yeah.
So we're finally about to go fight Sephiroth, but
Hell
first,
yeah.
Yeah, kind of. This is our last, but first.
one more. This is as Steve Jobs would call one more thing.
This is our one more thing.
Or Uncle from the Jackie Chan adventure.
Oh yes. Oh,
We we pretty much done everything now with and even most of these limit breaks, we've gotten them on the way. Most of the ultimate weapons we've also gotten on the way. But
the friends we've made,
And we've talked about a bunch of them just kind of in passing.
right. So there's a couple that we haven't gotten yet. So what we're gonna do today is kind of do a rewind, a little recap, and just go over all of the ultimate equipment, all of the ultimate limit breaks, and make sure we're real ready to go fight Sephiroth, which is going to put us well into the OP range. We're going to be absolutely destructive.
Yeah, I was able to beat Emerald Weapon without the underwater materia, but we're going to get even more OP now to fight Sephiroth,
Yeah,
which
here
is
it comes.
significantly easier.
All right, so should we just start? Should we go down the line, or how should we do this, y'all?
So
We start with Cloud.
as a dum like me who just kind of been glossing through this, how do the mechanics of limit breaks work at first?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so I think
Yeah, we should probably start from there, which
Yeah.
we've mentioned, but it's worth it.
We
bears
probably know by
repeating.
now, but
Right. So, so like we said before, most of the characters, I think there's two exceptions, have 4 levels of limit breaks, and that also includes Aerith 2 as well, right? Not Aerith 2,
Correct.
like the number 2, but Aerith TOO.
my Earth too.
Right. So they have 4 levels of limit breaks, and they learn 2 limit breaks per level, and the way that you learn both of them is slightly different.
Correct.
You always learn the first one in a level by making a certain number of kills. So you defeat a certain number of monsters, you'll learn the first one in a certain level. And then once you have that one, usage of the level or of the first limit break in a level gives you the second one.
Yeah.
And so like I have a chart open in front of me right now from the fandom wiki that just has all the numbers for it. So like Cloud being the main character, he's always in your party with a small exception. He has more kills and more uses than any of the other characters to be able to get these limit breaks.
Right.
And, some of the others have a lot, but some of them don't have very many at all. Like, I think to get Vincent's third one, you just have to make 96 kills, which is less than Cloud needs for his second one.
Right.
So you can get it real quick.
Yeah, there's some weird things. There's some weird things with that. That doesn't really. I mean, it kind of makes sense in the sense of limit break. Like, oh, well, Vincent is an optional character, and he is one that you might get way later. So definitely don't want to have to grind up as many kills as Cloud, who you have pretty much throughout the whole game. But another thing I learned recently was that the way that the leveling up works as well with the experience. There's a gap somewhere between level like I think it's like 81 to 82 is the most amount of experience you have to dump into a single level to level up to the next level. And then everything else.
How did you learn that, Carl?
I learned that because Dave Stereo is the ultimate god gamer, and through all of December leveled up to level 99 with Cloud and Barrett in the first reactor, and it was amazing.
I absolutely jumped in there every like other day or every couple days, and I was just like, "Hey, good to see you're still going. Good luck. I believe in you."
It was always nice just like hanging out in the chat and then seeing Curtis's name pop up, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's going on, Curtis?"
Yeah, right.
He finished it on New Year's Eve, right?
He did, and it was
that
one
right?
of the most
Yeah.
like hype endings to anything I've ever seen. People were
Wow.
just
And
like,
he finished it by fighting the guard scorpion at the beginning of the game too.
the best part
Nice.
about it too is right up till like it was striking midnight where he was, because I think he finished with like 2 hours to spare in the year, and I'm pretty sure after he did that, after he beat the guard scorpion and then the 10-minute timer started 10 minutes before like the ball drop, like right before the year changed, and he ended the year and that run with just letting the reactor explode and gaming over. He was like, "We're going down with this ship. We spent all of December here. We're going down with it." Absolute legend.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I wish I would have watched that. That reminds me, not to get too far off topic, I also spent my New Year's doing Final Fantasy things.
Oh yeah, you did. How did
That's
it, how did it
right.
go?
Yeah, I attempted a Final Fantasy V speedrun. I was doing pretty darn well up until the very last split,
Yep.
where I lost on the same boss like 8 times. And when I finally beat him, the game crashed on the next to last boss.
It was great.
And I was like, well, I guess we're not getting one done in 2019 after all.
Should old acquaintance.
It was great too, because like the way it glitched out and like froze, like there was just a bunch of like numerical
Sevens on the
sevens
screen.
across the screen and all like pixelated stuff, and I was just like, hell yeah, all lucky sevens, baby.
Yeah, so that was that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, back on the topic though.
Yeah, sorry for
So-
the tangent there, but
You get it. So that's the way that you get the limit breaks.
yeah, exactly. And I think we've mentioned this a few times, but there are 2 characters who don't have the typical structure of like level 1 through 4.
Yeah, correct.
So for most characters, they have 2 in level 1, 2 in level 2, 2 in level 3, and just their final limit break. So like a total of, what's that, 7?
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
which I guess makes sense. Final Fantasy 7, all lucky sevens, baby. But Vincent and Ketchi have a different thing. Vincent only has 4. He's only got the level, like the first limit break of each level, and then Ketchi only has 2 altogether.
Right. Which are just learned normally. Like Ket doesn't have to have any like limit break item to learn his final one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the reasoning behind that, which we'll get into a little more when we dig into each of like the individual limit breaks themselves, is each of like Vincent's limit breaks has its own set of moves, which I think it's like 2 each.
Yeah.
2 or 3 each. And then it's the same
Yeah.
with Ketchi. There's some of the limit breaks do a lot of different things that we can dive into a
Yeah.
little more.
Yeah, there's still a lot of options there, even though there's only 2 to 4
Yeah, exactly.
limit breaks. Yeah. So yeah, should we just go down the list?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do we want to start with level 1s, or do we want to just go character by character?
I think go character by character.
I think character by character makes the most sense.
Yeah. Get a little less confusing, I think, for me anyway.
Yeah,
Alright, so-
absolutely.
First
So,
ones,
See loud.
loud.
See loud. Yeah, so Cloud, right? We start with Braver, obviously. Cross slash, pretty dope. And all these are again learned normally.
Those are the 2 you just have from the get-go.
You don't have cross slash from the get go.
Yeah, you use Braver enough times, and then you get Cross Slash. And Cross Slash, I
Yeah,
think, is...
Gotcha.
I think,
Yeah.
like, Cloud, that's kind of like a signature move of Cloud, where he does, like, 3 slashes, and it makes, like, an X, like he's canceling someone, and then, like, a little... another, like, strike. You've probably seen it before. I think he uses it in Smash Brothers as well, when you can play as
He
him in
does.
Smash
That's-
Brothers, and,
that's
like,
true.
maybe
Yeah.
Dissidia and stuff. It's kind of like an iconic move.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's very, yeah. God damn,
We're just laughing at Cloud canceling someone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
like he's canceling someone.
Anytime I think of anyone getting canceled, I just think of the gif of Miyamoto doing the cross, like the X hands, and just smiling real big. Like anytime someone gets canceled on Twitter or something, I just want to send that gif and be like, "You're canceled."
That's amazing. So second level, we got Blade Beam, pretty dope. Hits one enemy. The move then splits out and hits the rest of the enemies for slightly less damage.
Oh yeah.
So it hits everybody, but you kind of get to pick one that it's going to do the most damage to. And
That
then
one's really cool.
Yeah, Clem Hazard I love because it's just striking one enemy, but it does 4 3/8 times normal damage.
Hell yeah.
Which is just a shitload of normal damage.
What the hell does Clem Hazard mean?
I don't know.
I'm curious what the etymology of that word is.
Probably a mistranslation.
Click it. And, yeah, is it actually Crim Hazard in the?
Yeah, Crim. It's a Tim and Eric
Crim
reference.
Hazard.
Crim.
It could be Climb Hazard. Is actually might be what it is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Oh, possibly.
And I think with the animation, that's the one where he kind of stabs into them and then jumps up, right?
Correct.
I believe, yeah. So it's another really cool animation. But yeah, for early game, if you're using that, getting 4 times the damage, that's huge.
Oh yeah. I mean that
they
consistently is just a load of damage.
Yeah, and it does cap at 9999, but early in the game, when you're using that, you're like, holy shit.
Right. Yeah, I guess toward the end of the game when you're just doing 9s all the damn time, it's like, well,
Yeah.
join the club.
Yeah, exactly.
So after Clem Hazard, let's see, we're going up to our level 3s.
Hell yeah.
So Meteor Rain.
Meteor Ain.
Meteor
Ain.
Ain. Meteor Ain Zine.
Which is 6 meteors fall and hit targets for 1 5/8 time normal damage. That one rules, especially if you're fighting one enemy.
Yeah.
You're just doing just a ton of damage. And it's nice because a lot of the later limit breaks hit multiple times, which is kind of your way of...
They just hit different.
They just hit different. But that's your way of breaking that 9,999 ceiling is by doing multiple hits of just underneath that.
Yeah.
Right. So they're really nice.
It's like a carpet bombing attack, though, right?
Yeah.
And I think some of these numbers that we're saying might not be entirely accurate. The list that I'm looking off has slightly different numbers, 1.625 times damage. So don't quote us on it. It's some amount of damage.
I think that's the decimal.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
it's the decimal equivalent of what.
Right.
Yeah,
Curse
5/8.
said.
Yeah.
5 divided by 8 is 6.6.
Probably.
If you've been listening to us this whole time, you know we're not very good with numbers.
Yeah.
And that they don't matter.
That's why we're not doing this.
That's why I love talking about Final Fantasy VIII with y'all. I mean, wait. Finishing touch is the last one in level 3.
Puts a cherry on top.
Yeah, that's right. A little whipped cream and a cherry on top, which blows away all enemies, which basically is essentially casting death on them. Because it just gets rid of them or deals damage to anybody who's immune to death.
Yeah, I kind of see it as some of the enemies that we fought, like the Zolom or Ruby weapon, where they knock out one of your characters from the battle itself. It kind of works more like that than an instant death.
Right.
Because there's not really a death animation most of the time. But if they are an enemy that is immune to the instant death status, so you're not just using that on every boss.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, it does just apparently equal to 3.125 times the damage that Cloud's weapon normally would do.
Right. I like the animation for it because Cloud just swings his sword in a big circle so fast and so hard it creates a fucking tornado.
Hell yeah.
Which just picks the enemies up and throws them out.
It's very Link.
Yeah. And then of course Omni Slash is his last one.
Hell yeah.
Which is 15 hits. Random across the amount of enemies that you see, which is the most powerful move in the game, with maybe the exception of Night of the Round. No, this could be do more, because if it's doing 9s the whole way, this is hitting 2 more times than Night of the Round, right?
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, this has the most damage potential in the game, I guess.
Definitely if you abuse materia in a way that you can. There's ways to.
Yeah.
You can hit Omni Slash. I think. Yeah, if you want the highest damage you could possibly do. Involves, I think I mentioned it 2 episodes ago.
Yeah,
that involves using Omni Slash and a lot of mimes.
Yeah. It's wild that you can. It's wild you can be allowed to do that.
That's so good.
There should be a law.
There's another thing worth mentioning where obviously you need the item, which we've talked about a little bit at the battle square, where you save up enough battle points. I think it's like 6,400 or like 32 or 1,000. I mean, or like 32,000. I think it's 32,000, and then W summon is 64. But
That's right.
But it is also worth noting that we'll get to on the next episode that you also just get it automatically at the very last fight.
Yeah, that's also true. And
Yeah.
that's 2 episodes from now.
2 episodes from now.
You bastard.
I am now canceled.
I'm going to get you a cross slash.
Cross/. Damn.
Canceled. You've been canceled. Anyway, yeah, so all the last limit breaks, you do have to have that item to get, right? And like you were saying, you get clouds through the battle square.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, that's really what we're kind of like, I think the reason that we're kind of going over this stuff today is like, okay, go get these before you go to the Northern Crater. Because once you go into the Northern Crater, like, I mean, you can always come out, but that's the end of the game there. So, yeah.
And it is a little confusing to leave the Northern Crater as well.
Yeah, it just
like,
places you down there at the beginning.
You have to
of this
like run
3.
up a cliff that doesn't look like you can run up it. So it's kind of like you like backtrack a lot in an area with very difficult enemies, and if you can't turn off enemy encounters, you know, you're
Well, very difficult enemies if you don't have any like of these awesome materials and weapons that we've been talking about, or absolute jokes if you do.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's all of Cloud stuff. So pretty dope. Omni Slash is a dope limit break.
It is
Real cool. It's got a lot of flair to it. Like each time he hits the enemy, like the trail behind his sword changes color. It's very like light showy.
Yeah, it's kick-ass. I also like that for all of Cloud's like limit breaks, or at least for a lot of them, he kind of just like raises his sword into the sky like He-Man, and it like emanates light.
Yeah.
And it does that like more and more each time.
And then the last one, he has like part where he freezes in the air and just like the camera angles around him like it's the Matrix.
Yeah,
it comes
really
down
kick-ass.
on him. It's badass. It's sick.
Yeah.
Good sortie boy.
All right, what do y'all know about Barrett?
Hell yeah. I know that he's
Y'all ever heard of Barrett?
real cool.
It's real cool. All right, let's roll through them. I'm gonna kind of like
let's
gonna
just
rapid
rattle
fire
them
until we
off.
get to the last one, okay? And if
Okay.
anybody says if there's one I hit that anybody really likes and wants to talk about the animation, we'll do that, okay?
Hell yeah.
And all right, let's do it. So level 1, big shot. Big shot. 3 1/4 damage to a normal enemy. Mind Blow fires a blue ball of energy at a single enemy and depletes their MP. So
He's like Samus.
Sam is always depleting them MPs. Grenade Bomb launches a grenade, deals 3 3/8 time normal damage, but it can also hit multiple enemies for slightly less damage. So the damage disperses over the amount of enemies you're fighting.
Hammer time.
Hammer Blow strikes a single enemy, causing death. So that's nice.
Yep.
Side effects
Causing
may
death.
include.
Satellite Beam, which I'll take a moment out to say does look fucking awesome.
That's one of my
like
favorites, and we definitely talked about that one before.
Yeah,
because
we
of
did.
Just how
We
ridiculous it is, especially with like how like underground of an organization Avalanche is, and then you're like, wait, you've had fucking satellites this whole time?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what? I think we should also say that with Hammer Blow, if you use that on an enemy that is immune to the status, they'll just be the no effect. So it's not
Right.
like the one Cloud
touch.
one finishing
Yeah.
touch where it actually deals some damage. It's just like, nope, you wasted it.
Also, I'm reading the details for Satellite Beam. What it does is it gives an automatic critical hit on all enemies, is the way
that's
it's
really cool.
calculated. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Ungar Max.
Critical support to critical hits.
Yeah.
Is it Ungar or Anger Max?
I always saw Ungar Max, but I guess like another name for it is Anger Max.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever.
Which again,
which
could just be
fires
weird
18
translation.
shots at random enemies for half damage.
You mean instead of Mad Max?
yeah, Anger Max, Mad Max. I wonder if there's anything there with that. Which to explain what that one does, it's the scene where the assassin tries to kill Grandpa Simpson. and he runs and he's just like shooting the machine gun throughout the retirement home. That's exactly what Barrett's doing.
Yep.
Right there. Yeah, and then his last one is Catastrophe.
Level 4.
Yeah, which if I recall correctly, we get for saving North Corel from the train.
Yeah, you
Right.
get that when you when Barrett kind of has his redemption thing for saving the town.
Yeah, yeah. Which he jumps into the air and just fires a giant beam that hits 10 times at random enemies.
It looked like he could also just launch him backwards if he really wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
It's his new way of traveling.
Yeah, yeah, right.
It's very Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, that's all of his stuff.
Yeah.
So next is Tifa. Tifas are awesome because as you continue to get the limit breaks, you don't lose access to the ones previous.
Right.
Yeah. So do you want to? We've explained it before, but I'll let you kind of walk us through that again if you want.
Sure. Yeah. So, like we were saying, with the other levels, when you select one, you don't get to use the other one. With Tifa, they kind of stack. So, like when you go to like level 3, you still get to use all of the first ones in succession. And the way that it works is it kind of gives you a slot machine where it's like there's like I think it's hit. What's the one? Yeah is the other thing.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah is for extra damage. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a critical hit, which is yeah. There's a hit that just does a hit, and there's miss. And each level has more likelihood to miss, and like it's harder to get a crit. But you can just basically do all 7 of those attacks in succession.
Right.
And
which always makes like watching the limit break when Tifa does it really cool because you get like quite a show.
Yeah, exactly. And it works like the other slots do in the game, where if you use the one button to like kind of close the window, it freezes the slot, so you can kind of just go frame by frame to ensure that you get whatever hit you're trying to get. I think while you're doing that, it doesn't freeze the like ATB, so you might still be getting attacked with it, but it's a good way to like ensure that you're hitting everything.
Right, yeah. So they're pretty cool. I really like the animations with all of these because they're all really kind of like they like escalate in ridiculously as they go up, you know?
Yep.
Like the first one's Beat Rush, which just does a little bit more damage than normal. It's like 1.25 times normal damage. So like out of the gate,
it kind of looks like her regular attack as well.
It does, yeah. So like out of the gate too, she's not doing that much extra damage with that first one. But I guess that's like the thing is she doesn't need to because all of this just stacks on itself, you know?
Exactly.
The next one's Somersault, which is just a somersault kick. She like steps on the enemy, flips backwards, and kicks them up. Right.
So good.
Water kick is like a sweep kick with like a bunch of like water splashing around while it's happening. My favorite is Meteor Drive. That's like my favorite one.
Oh yeah.
She picks the enemy up and puts them on her shoulder, and then jumps up in the air and flies back like turns around and then suplexes them into the ground.
Yes.
It's the most fucking brutal thing. I love it.
Yeah, fucking kicks ass. And then one of my favorites is next. It's the dolphin blow.
Yeah.
Where she just kind of does like a kick-ass uppercut, and then like a dolphin comes out and makes a little dolphin noise.
It's so good.
Mr. Dolphin.
It does a little meh. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think we'll see this attack again in a different Final Fantasy.
Indeed we will.
Yeah.
Then Meteor Strike, where she just picks an enemy up, jumps in the air, and throws it back down to the ground.
Just like Charizard does.
Just like Charizard.
Oh yeah, Seismic Toss.
Seismic
right
or
into that
seismic?
volcano to defeat the fire gym leader.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right. Did you watch that episode too on the stream on Twitch?
Oh, I did not. I missed that whole stream, but
Oh
I just
yeah,
know that from
Twitch streamed
from many
all of
years
the
of
first season of Pokemon, and I saw that one.
Hell yeah.
And then Tifa's final limit break is Final Heaven.
Hell yeah.
Which is just like a giant blast punch thing, like an energy punch. And it does 2 5/8 normal damage, so it's the strongest one as well. And then to get Tifa's final limit break, you have to go back to Nibelheim and do our favorite thing, which is jamming on the piano.
Hell yeah.
You play a little The Promise by When in Rome, and it just goes, what a banger, and just gives it right to you.
And yeah, I think
Except actually, it's kind of like that though. So.
it is like I think it also has like a prerequisite that you had to have done it in a certain way in the flashback first.
Is that true?
I think so. Let me double check, but it's basically you have to play Tifa's theme, I think.
I always considered it the overworld theme.
Oh yeah, and that's what it is. It is the overworld theme, where it's like, oh, this sounds familiar.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. So yeah, once you play the overworld theme into the piano, something will pop out of it, and it's like sheet music. And Tifa will say, "Huh? Wait a minute. There's something inside the music sheet." Or actually, I guess maybe anybody can say that. because it doesn't actually say her name at the top of it, but I just assume because it's written to her. There's a letter inside that's written to her, and the letter is from her teacher Zangan, and this is how it reads: Tifa, what's happened to our town? Was it all an illusion or just a dream? No, it was neither. Wait, hold on, an illusion or a dream? I feel like those are both saying the same thing.
It's kind of the
like
same
was it all fake or was it all made up?
Illusion is like a dream they commit to someone else.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
What is a dream but an illusion of the night?
I remember trying to get people out of the flames, but not having the strength. Burning with anger, I went to the reactor to kill Sephiroth, but he was nowhere to be found. Instead, I found you collapsed inside. I felt saving you was far more important than going after Sephiroth. There were several others that were still alive inside, but I was only able to save you. As I was coming out of the reactor, Shinra troops were just arriving. I recall a scientist named Hojo was in charge. He ordered the troops to gather up everyone still alive for the experiment. I didn't know what type of experiment he was talking about, but I wasn't about to let them have my dearest student. Putting you on my back, I headed down the mountain to the village. I cast Cure on you several times. I started to head for Midgard to look for a doctor for you. I didn't like that city, and my cure spells weren't helping. I decided to go to Midgard to find a doctor I could trust. I'm worried about you, but I can't settle down in one place for very long. Have you recovered fully? Are you well? How many years have passed since then? I just got into town again, but I can't believe it. The whole town's back to normal, except for these strange people with black clothes all around. The town reeks of Shinra, but I won't go after them. You may think I'm running from them, but it's just that I don't want to do anything with the Shinra anymore. It feels like time's running out. I'm sure you'll find this letter, this gift for you. It should come in handy. I can't even jump anymore. But I hope you continue to sharpen your skills and remember what I taught you. To my most precious student, from Zangan. And then you receive Final Heaven.
Whoa.
Fuck yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So, like,
Hell yeah.
Zangan went in, because, like, the question has been asked before how Tifa survived, right?
Yeah.
And, like, we know from the flashback now that Cloud has been, like, impaled. Like, after he defeated Sephiroth, he, like, threw him into the live stream or whatever. Like, Cloud is impaled. Zack's all fucked up because he got cut across the chest, I guess. And then so did Tifa. And so, like, they're all just laying there dying. And so I guess Zangan runs in, recognizes one of them because it's his student, and is like, well, fuck these other two, I guess. I can only carry one. And then saves Tifa and runs. And then we know that's how Hojo got a hold of Zack and Cloud to inject them with Mako cells and all that stuff and begin this whole sordid affair.
We could have had a third one. Tifa could have been.
Yeah, could have been another Genova, yeah.
Oh my god. Could you imagine?
Wild, wild time.
Could be the strongest one. But to acquire I don't know, it's not called this in game, but I think this might be what like the fan community has been calling it, is the manual, which is like the item that teaches you how to get the limit break. You have to play the correct tune in her house in Nibelheim on disc 2 after Cloud returns while Tifa is in the party. So if you don't do that and you get to this part, like
if it's after, because I don't know that I did it. I don't think I did it at that point. I certainly didn't,
okay,
actually.
so,
I know I haven't. So maybe it's just after that point in disc 2 onwards.
As soon as I think it was implying that. I'm trying to remember when this happens, because the letter obviously is referring to when Nibelheim's been rebuilt.
Yeah, many years ago or whatever. Yeah.
I might also be conflating it with like a different missable item that you also get through the piano, but I could be completely wrong.
The elemental?
For some reason, I think I read somewhere that you have to do this in like the flashback in a certain order.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't recall doing that in the flashback this time. Well, we'll have that answer for you later.
Well, there you have it.
Next on my list, Aerith Gainsborough.
Hell yeah.
So, should point out that you have to get all these, obviously, before a certain part of the game, or she won't be able to learn them.
Which part is that?
Reverse spoiler warning.
Yeah.
And what's kind of interesting is they kind of fit with her whole thing of being a white mage, because they don't really deal damage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. They're not really offensive.
Like, honestly, I kind of felt
some of them can be kind of described that way.
I felt like the first one was like almost the most useful for quite a while, because it just restores half of maximum HP for everybody in the party, which is always nice. Like, there's like
and that one's called healing.
Yeah, healing wind.
Healing Wind.
Healing Wind. Not Healing Wind. Yeah. Seal Evil is next. It casts Stop and Silence on multiple targets. Level 2 has Breath of the Earth, which cures all status effects on your party.
Nice.
Which can be helpful if you don't have a ribbon, which, I mean, at that point in the game, you wouldn't really have that many, so.
Yeah. Fury Brand fills your other two parties' limit break bars. Pretty
that is
wild.
my favorite.
This is pretty wild.
That is really kick-ass. That's a good way to kind of farm limit breaks as well.
Yes. I think this next one is pretty badass. Planet Protector gives all party members temporary invincibility, so you just can't take damage for a while. Pulse of Life fully restores HP and MP and cures all negative status effects for your party. So it's like using like a mega elixir.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Great Gospel, which is just multiple things at the same time, completely restores HP and MP of the party and makes everyone temporarily invincible to all physical and magical damage.
Yowza.
So that's quite a limit break there, which could be game breaking if she was still around.
Exactly. Yeah. The animation's also really cool because she kind of I think she like throws her staff and it kind of like lands in the ground, and then she like raises her hands, and then like 3 angels just like ascend or descend from like heaven and like cast it on your party.
Yeah. Every time. And so to get her last limit break, you have to do these side quests. I've been calling it the 311 side quest because of when you did it, Carl.
Yeah.
It's the guy in the mines who tells you how many battles you've been in, and he gives you the mithril. And then later you take it to the guy who lives in between Gungaga and the gold saucer, and he'll give you an option of the small box or the big box, and it's in the small box. So, yeah.
Nice.
There you have it. There's those ones.
So how about
Yeah. All right. Red 13.
Red 13.
Love him. Favorite boy.
Nanaki, the king.
Nanaki. Sled Fang. 3 times normal damage to an enemy. Lunatic High adds haste to the party and raises Red's defense by 50% for every party member still alive.
Which is really kick-ass.
Yeah. Blood Fang dashes at an enemy, does damage, and absorbs HP and MP. Stardust Ray hits 10 times randomly. Howling Moon adds haste and berserk to Red, which boosts his attack by 60%. Earth Rave attacks enemies 5 times. And then his last one is Cosmo Memory.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, which I do like. Like, the thing about some of these limit breaks, like Cosmo Memory, is that, like, the damage it deals is so incredibly high because it does 7 times or over 7 times normal damage to all enemies, but they're all single hitting attacks. So it kind of like makes some characters better than others, I feel like, in the end game.
Yeah.
Because like Cloud can hit multiple times, Barrett can hit multiple times. You know what I mean? And like Red will do full 9s of damage, but only once. And so it's like, okay, well, it's a lot less damage technically than everybody else. So even though like the damage modifier is enormous.
Yeah, but the Cosmo Memory also has a really, really kick-ass animation that I think it's like it almost looks like an entire galaxy is like being fired out, I'm pretty sure. It's like real weird, but it's really cool. And the way that you get that one to teach to Red, you get that in the Shinra mansion when you get Vincent as a playable character. You actually find it in the safe where we like found the key and all
way
of that.
early.
Oh, so you find it the first time you open the safe? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you open the safe and then fight that boss, and then I think you have to interact with the safe again to get the item.
Gotcha.
I think was it the item that actually pops out of it? I remember getting it and not getting the key.
yeah, exactly. Because the key like falls out and then you see it. Like I remember we were like, oh yeah, we see it in our screenshot.
Yeah, I know. I just walked away and I was like, wait a minute, I should be able to open this door now. All right, anyway. Oh wait, okay.
Who do we obtain next? I guess we do get Yuffie next.
Whoever you want. I'll let someone else take the next one.
Let's do Yuffie.
Yeah, let's do Yuffie.
Is that you, Carl? Or am I doing?
Yeah. So with Yuffie, her first one is Greased Lightning, which
Greased Lightning.
Hi, dramatic.
It's very rockabilly, but it deals damage to just a single enemy, and it does like 3.125 normal damage or some amount like that.
Yeah, I like
when
the
using
animation
it.
for it. It's like she slashes them so quickly that like she's already jumped back to like position before the actual slash animation appears on the enemy.
Yeah, it's like a delayed hit. It's very cool. It's very like old samurai movie
Yeah.
where they like, their silhouettes run past each other and they both draw their swords and then, like there's a lull and then one of them just like is cut in half.
Yeah, that's kind of the what I get from it too. Yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah. After that, in level 1, it is Clear Tranquil, which heals each party member for half of their total HP. So that's kind of very similar to the Aerith one,
Yeah.
but you have it the whole game. Then level 2, which you get by defeating 64 enemies, which is the Nintendo number. That's Landscaper, which is a really kick-ass one that I like a lot, that we also kind of see again in a different Final Fantasy game, where it deals damage to all enemies on the battlefield, and it's like 3 times the normal damage of the weapon that she's using, which is kick-ass. It doesn't hit high-flying enemies, because what Yuffie does is she runs, and with her like arm that has that weird
Gauntlet.
whatever it is on there, she slams that into the ground and it creates like an earthquake effect sort of thing, and it hits them from underneath.
Yes, I guess that means that it's implying that that's kind of like a weighted gauntlet just for like blunt force
Oh,
attacks.
maybe,
So it
yeah.
doubles as a shield, but it's like weighted, so it could be like a hammer almost.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool.
It's badass. And then the best named limit break in the game,
Easily the Bloodfest.
Bloodfest.
And that will deal damage randomly to like any enemy on the battlefield, and it'll attack like a total of 10 times. And
I always
each hit,
call it like Yuffie's Omni Slash.
yeah, basically, and a lot of the characters kind of have that similar sort of thing where they attack multiple times. Not as good as Omni Slash, but the same sort of thing. And the other thing about that is that there's no way to like direct the attacks at all, so you could potentially just like only hit one target even though you're fighting. Like if you're fighting something that has like a lot more HP, you could only hit the smaller HP one the entire time.
Right.
Oh, it is kind of like Cloud's meteor thing.
Yeah, exactly. So then there is Gauntlet at level 3, which deals damage to all the enemies on the battlefield and does like 1.75 damage. And let's see. It
The
also
second-
ignores
oh,
defense, which is pretty cool. So that like
Yeah.
results in a critical hit increasing the overall damage done.
And then the second best named limit break in the game.
This one is very relatable in the name. It is Doom of the Living. Yeah, and that'll deal random damage to any enemy on the battlefield. And it says,
15
I'm just reading
times.
off the jagged.com right here, but it says,
Okay.
Yuffie will jump around and attack the enemies with her weapon and hit for a total of 15 attacks. So similar to Omni Slash there. All of the
Yeah,
attacks, including the final one, will hit for 0.625 the damage that Yuffie's weapon does when using the attack command. So it's the same amount of attacks as Omni Slash, but way less powerful.
Yeah.
And then her level 4 is All Creation. And it's the same thing. You need an item to learn that one. We get that from completing the pagoda, which we talked about, where she fights her dad. And this one will deal damage to all enemies on the battlefield and do 8 times the normal damage of Yuffie's weapon.
Oh, hell yeah.
So apparently it's
Alright.
actually a more powerful limit break, and is recommended that you use Doom of the Living instead of All Creation.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Or, yeah, Doom of the Living, I should say. Doom of the Living is actually a more powerful limit break, so it's
Yeah.
not as good as the earlier one, but
I will say All Creation is still pretty badass looking at very least.
absolutely. Do you want to explain
Like
that one a little bit?
Yeah, it's kind of almost hard to explain. She like fucking blows up a little sun or something behind her. Makes just a giant thick ass beam.
Fuck yeah.
It just hits everybody. We don't like those beams thick. So Kate Ketchi
Catchy.
is next. Like we said, only 2 different limit breaks, and I think we've explained these a little bit as well.
Yeah.
The weapon killers.
The weapon killers, yeah. Dice does a certain amount of damage depending on what the number on the dice that you throw are.
Yeah.
Can be
exactly.
upgraded from 2 to 4 dice as you go. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. 6 dice. You can go from 2 to 6 dice. And then slots, which gives you random effects. Not random, I guess, but effects based on whatever the 3 slot faces that come up are.
Yeah.
Including one that just instantly kills an enemy that you could use to kill Ruby or Emerald weapon with, apparently.
Yeah, what is that one called? Do you remember what that one is called? That's the instant kill one, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, because I'm thinking of the other one where there's a certain combination that you can get that just game overs your game, just kills your entire party.
Yep.
And I forget
Curtis
what that
has
one's
told
called.
us
It's
the
called
story of that.
Joker or something. The
Yeah.
Joker's trick. Let me see if I can pull that up really quick.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of really cool things in the slots ability, actually. Like, there's a lot of goofy ones that you can get. Like, there's one where, like, just random enemies will, like, kind of fall from the sky and deal damage when you use slots. Like, one of them is, like, the big fat chocobo.
I love that guy.
Love that guy.
Yeah, I can't remember the name offhand, but it's something. It's something called like Joker's Wild or some shit, and it just kills your entire party.
I know, which I've definitely been on the wrong side of before in the past.
Was that on dice or
Yeah.
slots?
That's slots. Oh, here we go. I got a list. Yeah, Death Joker.
Death Joker.
Death Joker. It's face bar. We'll give it to you.
Joaquin Phoenix is the Death Joker. Jared Leto is the Sex Joker.
Oh boy, the instant kill is called Game Over.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Very fitting name.
Yeah, so fucking I don't use Kate Sith for that reason. So I tell you what, there's one more character to talk about.
Two.
Two.
Sid and Vincent.
Sid. Let's talk about Sid.
Oh yeah.
Alex, you want to tell us about Sid's?
I love Sid.
I love Sid too. I don't love his misogyny, but I love him.
He's like
fine.
one wrong comment away from getting canceled.
He's one comment away from getting cross-slashed.
But Sid's level 1. We have Boots Jump.
Boots jump.
I also like to say that, like, I think that Sid is more than loosely based on the Dragoon class from other games.
I think that makes perfect sense, especially with his item, like the Dragoon Lance or whatever.
Dragoon Lance, he uses spears. All of his attacks involve jumping in some way. Or not all of them, but most of them. Like, I think that he's supposed to be like a Dragoon kind of throwback. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have Boost Jump, which just deals damage to let's see, just deals damage to one guy, does 3 1/4 damage, normal. Then we have Dynamite, which is really cool. He lights a dynamite stick with his
With
cigarette.
his cigarette. God damn it, he's so cool.
That does
So
2
kick-ass.
1/4 normal damage. That does all enemies on the battlefield, which is nice. Level 2, we have Hyper Jump. I'm just reading this as I go along. This does damage to everyone on the field. It does 3 1/4 damage.
Oh, I didn't know this. Has a 20% chance to inflict instant death.
Ooh.
On all enemies too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, maybe this can beat weapon.
I mean, all enemies
Yeah.
that don't that aren't immune
Oh,
to
yeah.
instant death, but still.
Okay. Then we have Dragon. Straight up a dragon.
Yeah, he just summons a fucking dragon.
Does 1 1/4 normal
A
damage.
Chinese myth dragon.
Yes. It'll also heal Sid's HP and MP 25%. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Oh,
Pretty
of
good.
25%
good.
of the damage done to the target.
Okay.
So it's
Oh,
kind of like
even
so it's like an
better.
absorb type
Yeah.
of thing. That's really cool.
Fuck yeah.
And then Dragon Dive.
My favorite System of a Down song.
This is another one that does like the random enemy attack thing. 6 attacks, each doing for about 1 and almost.
His is 1 7/16.
I was about to say close to 1.5
Yeah.
X damage.
Yeah.
But that is 6 times.
Also has a chance to inflict instant death.
That's
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to like Yuffie's thing. We're just kind of attacking everyone on the field.
Yeah.
But yeah, only 6
Yeah.
times. Then after that we have Big Brawl.
It's so fucking choice.
My favorite Foo
God,
Fighters
what a
song.
fucking good character Sid is. I love Sid.
He seriously is.
This is another attack that randomly attacks just enemies on the field, doing 8 attacks for 1 1/8
Yeah.
damage each.
And it's just a big dust cloud kicks up during it, so it's supposed to be like a cartoony brawl.
Big kerfuffle.
Yeah.
And then finally we have the High Wind, his namesake,
Hell
which
yeah.
deals again random damage to everyone on the field. You'll call the High Wind to attack the enemies with missiles.
18
Yeah, which is awesome.
18
Holy
times.
shit.
So it's an airstrike.
It's like, why don't they just use that all the time?
Yeah, you gotta reload the missiles. You can't do it all the time.
Yeah, I guess he's got to have his crew.
Yeah.
His what does he call them? Flunkies.
Yeah, flunkies.
Get out of here,
Deploy
flunkies.
the flunkies.
We well, I remember where to get the high wind because I forgot it the first time because Carl was like, "How about that high wind?" And I was like, "The what now?" And he was like, "Yeah, it was in the area we were just talking about." And I was like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, and Curtis is like, I need to reload my save and go back and get that.
I know.
It is in the sunken Gelnica.
Yep, it's down there in the.
So it's in one of the like back rooms there. I think it's after you defeat the Turks and you go to like that back room area.
Yep, that's correct.
And we have one more character. But
Yeah, so here's what I think we should do. I think we should run down the list of the ultimate weapons as well, and then hit this character's weapon and limit break at the same time. Because we get them in the exact same place.
Sounds good to me.
And this will transition to our next section.
All right, cool.
Final weapons.
Yeah.
Final weapons. This list should be significantly faster than the one we just did, I think. Cloud. Ultimate weapon. You get it from beating the ultimate weapon.
Yes.
And all the we've kind of talked about this before, but all of the characters' ultimate weapons do damage based on some formula, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Some nerd shit.
Some real nerd shit. Cloud's is based on his current HP. So as in like the percentage of HP he has out of his max HP. So the more powerful he is, the more damage he deals. And it's significant too. Like there's already a significant boost to his damage. So you can go, a good way down before you actually even see like a significant decrease in the amount of damage you're outputting. But once you have very low HP, like you're in critical, it's almost not worth attacking at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the opposite of Tifa's like power soul item.
Yeah, right.
And I think we should also say that the ultimate weapons, like everyone's ultimate weapon, has full materia linked slots.
Yeah,
but no materia growth, which at this point we don't really need anymore because of how much we've leveled up our materia. But,
yeah, once you've beaten Emerald Weapon, like you're good to go.
Exactly.
So what I think is maybe the most powerful weapon in the game? No, certainly the most powerful weapon in the game, actually. The missing score for Barret. Mm-hmm. So we talked about this on our Return to Midgar episode, that if you don't have Barret in the party when you're climbing the Sister Ray in Midgar, it just doesn't appear. You just don't even see it. So you have to have him in the party to get it. But its way that it deals damage is according to how much AP has been pumped into the materia that's equipped on it. Which is very interesting. So you can put mastered materia on it with just tons of AP to get just unruly amounts of damage output, right? But obviously it's capped at 9999, right? So you can't do more than 9999 damage. So
although I am seeing something here that I'm going to have to research more, but I'm seeing that it says missing score is subject to the overflow glitch.
Let's talk about the overflow glitch.
Oh, baby.
I'm ready with it.
Take it away.
All right. So I know, Alex, you were mentioning this on the weapons episode, that you're like, there's one more way to take them out. And I was like, I know, but I want to talk about it next time. So because of that potential for Barret's missing score to get just unreasonably powerful because of just adding AP to it, and because of the way that materia duplicates itself once you master it, you could continually master Knight of the Round materia over and over and over, and it is the materia that needs the most AP to master at over 500,000.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, so many Knights of the Round materias or whatever other materias you have into it, your amount of damage that you theoretically would be able to put out, like 9999 cap notwithstanding, the theoretic amount of damage you'd be putting out or the amount of attack power you have would be so high that the game sees that as actually being a negative number. It's like, okay, you're further away from 0 than half of the entire numbers that this game can count, which means you're closer to the cap of the numbers than 0.
Right.
So, okay, that must be a negative number then. And so what it does is it no longer applies the 9999 damage cap to you because of that, because it doesn't see it as a positive integer. So when you attack with it at that much damage, the numbers of damage that pop up are just random symbols, and it just does a higher number of damage than any enemy in the game can possibly have. killing everything in one hit forever, like no matter what it is.
It's pretty awesome. The symbol that actually comes up is like the cool S that everyone knows how to draw.
It's just a series of cool S's just pop up. It just says cool S 69420.
Hell yeah. The anarchy symbol is in there too. It's real kick-ass. It spells out ass.
Right.
2012.
Yeah. That's pretty badass.
Fuck yeah. So yeah.
Let's see who's next.
Premium Heart.
Premium Heart. Okay, here we go. Yeah.
So a few episodes ago, I was like, oh yeah, we're doing a Return to Midgar episode. Like, okay, cool. So I went in through the bottom, obviously, which involves, going back through the Sector 7 gates.
Yes.
Yes.
Which involves going back to Rocket Town to get a key to.
Oh, not Rocket Town. You got to go back to Bone Village.
So yeah, you got to go back to Bone Village to get the key.
Carl, did you say that at the same time I did?
I think I did, yes.
I love it. Okay,
I'll make sure it's things up. But
yeah.
But yeah, so
That's like the clap at the beginning of podcasts to make sure everybody's on time with each other.
Which for the listener,
all
we
right,
didn't
1,
do
2,
today.
3, Bone Village. Sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, so yeah, the episode we were supposed to go back to Midgar, which for this story episode, I went in through like, oh, obviously I was supposed to go in through the back door where we found that where we climbed down from the highway.
Yeah.
Which is the Sector 7 gate.
I think it's 5
or 4.
It could be 4. It's by the church.
Yes.
It's
okay.
like right outside of the church.
But anyway, you go there, there's a guy who says like, oh, I lost my key. It must have been when I was going on that excavation tourist thing.
Yeah.
And so you go back to Bone Village, you dig up the key, you come back, and then you're basically going back through the slums.
Yeah.
Which is where we find Carl's favorite character in the church.
Oh yeah.
Aerith's
Carl,
ghost.
do you believe in ghosts?
The very, very spooky character. Aerith's ghost.
Tell us about Aerith's ghost real quick.
I'll let Alex take that away because I think he's a little more familiar about it than I am.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I'm only a little bit, but so since this is our first time back at the church, basically since we were first in Midgar, if the first time you walk in, there's only for a split second you see, I think a young Aerith just tending to the flower garden inside the church.
Yeah.
And then she kind of phases out. And there's still 2 other kids there though.
Yeah, right.
Who I think they, if you talk to them, they kind of ask about where the flower girl is now because she just no longer comes around. But it's really creepy because you just see
just
flash.
for a split second.
I think if you come back in, there is a frame or 2 where she is there.
Yeah,
but it's really hard to catch.
Yeah, right. So very, very not creepy necessarily, but interesting. It's kind of weird. Yeah,
Creepy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that's it's not a glitch. It's not any kind of thing. It's kind of intended in the the developers have said that it is intended. And the reason that I found out about this when we were doing the one episode where we were returning to Midgar when I was doing all of that a few weeks ago, I was just looking up okay, missable items. Let me make sure I just get everything before going into the North Crater. And I saw Aerith's ghost and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, right.
I had no idea that this was a thing.
Real wild.
Real eerie.
Yeah. So there is some flag that if you do something, it won't happen in your game. I forget the specifics of it, but there is some way that you can miss Aerith's ghost.
Interesting.
Let me find it real quick.
Okay, so I'm looking at the triggering. Witnessing Aerith tending to the flowers is a one-time event. The point in the story where the Aerith events activates in the church is after defeating Genova Life, but the player cannot yet return to Midgar at this point. The first time they can in a normal playthrough is after Cloud has been saved from Medeal. Then within the game's debug room, let me see, hang on. If the After Aerith Death option is selected in the debug room, the game will teleport the player to the church where Aerith will be tending to the flowers. So yeah, it's in the debug menu for some reason, so it's an intended thing. But I think here's where you can miss it. The event can never occur if the player talks to the innkeeper during the calm flashback and selects the option, let me know the situation of the town. So I think I did that when we were going through the research for the show, so I didn't get to see it.
I believe I did too.
Yeah. So it's just a thing that I don't think that was an intended thing for that to like make that not happen. They weren't like, oh, if you use this. I think it's just some weird programming error.
Oh, it only happens, yeah. So you can still see, let me know the situation in town first, but if you talk to him the second time and select that, it removes
exactly.
the possibility of seeing it. And yeah, that's a weird. So it's more of a bug if you don't see it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's intended, kind of. It's like a little Easter egg thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Eerie. But so I was saying the whole reason we're going through Midgar is because to get Tifa's final weapon, we go to Wall Market. I think you have to...
I would like to say one thing. I know, again, another thing we're saying. On the way to Wall Market, the most important thing in the entire game happens. We get to see Hell House again if we want.
Hell yeah. Actually, wait. I'm glad you brought that up because one of the enemies I saw in Ketchi's, like, if you look up, there's a video somewhere of just every limit break that will, be a better visual representation than any of the bullshit we're trying to explain. But when Ketchi is using slots, one of the attacks is it'll just, like, drop stuff on you. One of them is, like, the big fat chocobo, which is really good. And one of them is the Hell House, but, like, before it goes to hell. It's just, like, the house before you attack it and turns all, like, skeleton.
That's amazing.
It's so good.
You can also find the Hole Eater here as well, though.
Exactly. Our old friends, the Hole Eaters.
It's been so long.
And the only other one thing I wanted to say about being back here before we talk about Tifa's weapon is there's just an NPC that says, "I wish I could live with a real cat." Which
Same.
Same.
I currently have my real cat on my lap right now. And she's being very sweet and kissing me. It's very cute.
Well, that NPC would be very jealous.
Yeah, shout outs to that NPC.
Yeah, sorry, Alex.
Cats aren't real.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I'm different.
Okay, there's enough in Wu Tai. You should be able to take
another important thing. You can't really see it here, but there's a point where Sid has some dialogue. I think it's right before going to the North Crater, and he has kind of a whole like string of dialogue. But he talks about how like a rocket at one point fell into Midgar. And, like, he was surprised that it didn't, like, destroy the whole place.
Oh, yeah.
And you can actually see that in, like, the back room of the church very early in the game when you're pushing the barrels to, like, protect Aerith.
that was a mind blow. I think you sent that in the chat, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, someone recently, I think on Reddit, like pointed that out where they like showed the dialogue of Sid talking about that, and you're like, oh, that's a weird throwaway line. And then like actually looking at the whole model of the church, because I think we probably even talked about it. We're just like, yeah, there's some weird structure in the middle of the church of like debris or something, but it's like just more like
a water tank or something.
Yeah. It's just more like flavor text. It's crazy.
Just a fucking failed rocket that Sid sent out years ago.
Yeah,
this big devil's backbone energy.
Yeah. It's a good thing that Shira took care of that oxygen tank as well, so it didn't destroy that section of Midgar directly next to the other section of Midgar that got destroyed.
It's very black metal of Sid to break a church like that. All right, I'm sorry, Alex. Tell us about that premium heart.
Yeah, so we're on our way to get Tifa's final weapon. I actually found it by accident because again, I didn't mean to come this way. I was like, "There's no way up to Sister Ray from here, guys." But so there's this room. There's an item room, which, if we remember, in our first time at Wall Market, has a machine gun mounted to the top of the room.
Right.
And it's like Cloud just like nonchalantly like dodges it and like, it doesn't work.
It's broken.
But I think if you have Sid in your party, do you need Sid and Tifa in your party for this to work?
I had Sid and Tifa in my party is the thing, so I don't know.
But I think Tifa tries it out, and then Sid's like, back off, let me fix it. And then he's... he does this. He works his little magic of just like, kind of fiddling some things and gives it a nice kick. And then it should be working now.
It doesn't say that you need Sid to do it. But if you have him, he'll... Maybe
if it just pops in. But just like other plot specific points, maybe I'll just like walk in. But either way, Premier Heart will just pop out of that machine.
Yep.
Which is the worst of the ultimate weapons. Because it does damage based on Tifa's current limit break gauge, which constantly fluctuates. Like throughout fights, it's going up and down as you use limit breaks, which means for half of the time it's going to be less than 50%, and Tifa's not going to be doing very much damage at all. So that's kind of a weak one.
Yeah, the way that limit bar works, I learned a little bit more of during Dave Stereo's stream. because he got to a certain point where his HP was so high and his defense was so high that he couldn't take the necessary amount of damage to even build up any limit break bar. So it's like you need to have like
right, because it is based on your HP.
Exactly, and the higher up your limit level is, like the more and more it takes of damage to like build it up, even with like the Fury status or whatever. So like, yeah, it's not really, especially compared to Tifa's other weapons that like will just instantly cap your attack like easily. Like, not a great ultimate weapon.
Right. So Aerith, I guess, is next.
Princess Guard.
yeah.
Princess Guard, which you can get, which we got as we were doing the show, but in the clock room in the Temple of the Ancients, you find it there, which is the last place that you get to use her anyway. So you get it, and then you can use it on Demon Wall, and that's
Exactly.
what you get. Like, there you go. Which, I mean, like, to be honest, it's almost a shame because it's kind of neat. Its damage is multiplied by 2 every time somebody is KO'd.
Whoa.
Which, I mean, Demon Wall's a motherfucker, so I guess you could get some use out of it, but I was just healing the whole time because he kept hurting everybody.
The name is
I
kind
like the what Jegged.com says about it. They're throwing some instant shade at this weapon too. They say the attack power of this weapon is increased if other characters are KO'd, which makes it useless. But considering you never get to equip it, it's already a useless item.
That's amazing.
Come on the podcast, Princess
Yeah.
Guard, defend yourself.
Limited Moon by Red 13. So this one has a little bit of a story with it. So I'm going to go to my screenshots.
Say, Red's actual weapons like are really funny because they sometimes are just like hair clips or pins.
Yeah.
Which I guess like when Red attacks, he does like a little jump and somersault in front of the enemy. So I guess he's hitting them with his body, and maybe the hair clips in his mane like do extra damage.
Yeah.
I guess is like how I'm making that make sense in my head.
Can't just give him a gun.
Just give Red a gun, Square. All right. So,
Only thing that can stop a bad man is a good boy.
yeah. So on disc 3, once you leave the North Crater and you go back to the world map, you can do this at any time at that point. But once you go back into Cosmo Canyon with Red, the guy at the gate, the guy who's like always standing there at the entrance to Cosmo Canyon says, "Nanaki, it's really bad. Ever since Bugenhagen returned from that last trip, he doesn't seem well. Hurry and see him." And he runs off ahead of you and goes to see his grandfather. And when you get there, Bugenhagen's like laying on a couch, like he's like laying down.
Yeah, he's just vibing.
Is he still on his floaty?
He's not on his floaty anymore. This is he's laying down on the couch. And Red's like, "Oh, grandfather." And Bugenhagen says, "Nanaki, you're still here?" And Red's like, "I can't leave you like this. It's the duty of Seto's son to guard this canyon and her people." And Bugenhagen says, "Listen, I think you already know. If you have any mission in life, it is not to defend this valley. Look at the withering mountain grass. Listen to the warble of newborn chocobos. Look always to the eternal flow of time, which is far greater than the span of a human life. It will teach you more than staying in the valley. What you see will eventually become part of the life stream. For my children and your children, please, Nanaki, go with Cloud. Use your eyes and your ears." And then Nanaki's just like ... And Bugenhagen says, "Ho ho ho! Now, don't look like that. I'm all right. It's a big world. You must go out and see it. You may even find your life's mate. You never know. And take this along. I think it will look good on you now." And he gives you the item. And then, like, as soon as he gives you the item, though, he just goes limp. Like, his arm just falls down to his side. And I think it's supposed to be that he died right there. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's what is happening here.
Yeah.
He said he'd be fine.
Yeah. He's going back to the live stream. He's going to kick some Sephiroth ass in the live stream.
Rip to Bugenhagen, but I'm different.
Yeah. But the screen cuts out to the Cosmo Candle, the big bonfire, and Cloud and whoever your other party member is are standing there just kind of waiting for Red to do his thing. And Red finally runs up, and Cloud like has an idea of like what's going on. He like kind of knows that Bugenhagen's dying and everything, and this is it. And so I think they're kind of giving Red his time to talk to him. And he says, Red, is Bugenhagen ... And Red just says ... Grandpa told me he's going away again. And Cloud says, away. And he's like, oh, he liked that airship. He told me he just couldn't stay still and just zipped right out of here. He even gave me a gift. And then it says, receive the limited moon. And he says, wait a minute. Aren't you supposed to give gifts after you come back? Grandpa sure is strange. Ha ha ... Ha ha ... Ha. And the Cloud says, maybe we'll run into him again somewhere. And Red just says, yeah, maybe. Thanks, Cloud. And that's the end of that scene.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
it's nice. It's a good
after
scene.
he like says the ha, like, oh, Grandpa sure is strange. Ha 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 ha. After he does that, he kind of like shakes his head a little bit.
Yeah, right.
So I think he's... I'm not sure how we're supposed to like read into this, as if he's still kind of like, you know, the naive, like young, like almost like childish creature who's just like, oh yeah, Grandpa said he's going away. I don't quite understand and stuff. Like, I think it's either just dawning on him here, or he knows the whole time and is like trying to put on a strong face. But like,
yeah,
I think he realizes what's going on.
Yeah, I think he's trying to put on a strong face for everybody and be like, hey, don't worry about me.
That's how I took it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grandpa's just going to a ranch upstate.
He's going to a home
Yeah.
upstate.
That's the limited moon.
I also like, there's Elder Hargo. If you go talk to him, he says, I think Bugenhagen has foreseen things about the planet and Anaki and about himself. But he would never say that. He would just say, ho, ho, ho. And I was like, indeed he would. But yeah, that's the limited moon. And limited moon is kind of like Cloud's ultimate weapon, where it does an amount of damage based on his HP being full, but Red's is based on his MP being
believe.
full. Correct.
Nice.
Yeah. Which is kind of nice because it's easy to keep your MP full. So you could just constantly be doing really good damage with Red because of it.
Yeah, and the way it works is it's current MP like compared to like max MP. So like on the Jagged site, they're saying like if you have like 635 of 635, it'll do more damage than if you had like a number greater than that out of 99. Like it's definitely out of how close you are to your max with it, and not so much like, oh well, I have more. Like if you had like 1 of 1 somehow, like that would still be like max damage.
Yeah, it would still be sufficient, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. Yuffie, her ultimate weapon is the Conformer. We get it on the Gelnica. It's also just sitting in a chest. It's pretty dope. It does damage based on the enemy's level, which is pretty handy. I would say that's a good thing. Everything you're fighting now is a pretty high level anyway, and the bosses themselves are going to be a really high level. So it's a good weapon. It doesn't fluctuate in the way a lot of other ones do. It also does that.
So that makes Yuffie's regular attacks like extremely powerful against like all of the weapons because of just how high their level is.
Exactly, right. And also it has that added benefit of Morph doing normal damage when you attack with it. Yeah. So it's easy to get the Morph
which
items
is great.
Yeah.
It's also very helpful that it will only deal 1 damage to anyone else in your party, which we talked about before, because if you get confused, it's only doing 1 damage, which can be very helpful, especially on the Gelnica if you're trying to morph those characters into like the source items. But it's another thing is when I was doing my Ruby weapon strat, I was trying to like get some of my characters to low HP.
Yeah.
And I was attacking with Yuffie, and I was like, fuck, wait, I can't.
Yeah. I guess you could like get their HP just over 7777 and then just chip it away or something like that.
Exactly, yeah, which can be really, really helpful.
Yeah. So anyway, and we got Sid, Venus Gospel. You just talk to the old man outside of the Rocket in Rocket Town multiple times, and he gives it to you. You gotta do it on disc 3, or at least later in the game, maybe not disc 3. It's after all the shenanigans are done at Rocket Town. And it's the exact same as Red's weapon, same damage formula. Does it out of MP instead of HP. And Kate Sith's, or Ketshi, has the HP Shout, which is found in that locker in Midgar, in the Shinra Tower, which is the same formula as Cloud's. So it's right there on the it's written on the tin. HP Shout. It's based on your HP. Okay.
The HP Shout.
So next we have Vincent. Vincent's weapon, Vincent's limit break. And so for the rest of the podcast, I want to talk about that and then talk about some himbos. I want the next section of the podcast to be himbos. It's just himbo hour here at
I agree.
every FNFF.
It's real himbo hour.
So let's take a break. We'll take a break, get all horned up, and then come back and talk about himbos.
We're gonna get a reasonable level of horned up.
I'm gonna go grab a box of tissues.
Yeah. I'm gonna get some potions and some lotions. we're gonna meet back here and have a himbo hour.
Hell yeah.
How's that sound to you?
That sounds great to me.
All right. Well, I'll see y'all back here in I don't know, 15 minutes. I should be able to knock one out in about that amount of time.
All right, buddy.
Hell yeah.
All right. See you back here in about then. Wash your hands. We're back. All right, thank you. We're all lotioned up, ready to go. I'm all greased up, sliding around like everything I touch is a slip and slide. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Grease me up, woman. All right.
Let's us go.
Let's talk about the sad himbo first.
Sure. I mean, they're all
right.
pretty sad when you think about it.
Well,
Not all himbos.
one of them isn't anymore. Vincent.
Yes.
Yeah. So we saved his limit break and his weapon because we get them at the same time. So that waterfall that we've been talking about.
Have we?
We have. We've mentioned it multiple times. We mentioned it the first time we went to Junon, and then a couple of other times as well, that there is a crater with a waterfall.
Yeah, it's like right when you leave Gold Saucer on the buggy and you have to go across the river. That river leads down to like an area where there's a waterfall. I just said that very Philly, a waterfall. But yeah, it's also like right after you go from Cosmo Canyon towards Nibelheim.
Yeah.
There's a river where you can really see this this like weird crater
Right.
that just has like a circular lake in the middle of it and a waterfall.
Yeah. And you can either use the submarine to get there, or you can take a golden chocobo there as well.
Oh,
Right.
I didn't realize that you can use the submarine.
Oh,
I know
actually-
that there's I know that you can get there from the submarine, but I don't know if you can actually like.
Yeah, you can dock and everything.
It's really
Oh, shit.
it's really fucking frustrating, but yes, you can.
Yeah, you can do it.
Oh,
Basically,
okay,
as you go into when you're in the submarine, you'll find like a little trench that goes like way back, and you can kind of tell where you are on the overworld map just because you're going so far out of that little mid inland sea.
Yeah, it
And,
starts like in the North Corel area, and then it kind of
Yeah.
spirals,
Yeah.
and then it curls back around, and then all of a sudden you go up and you realize you're in this crater
Yep.
with a waterfall in it.
Yep.
yeah.
And actually, I take it back. You don't need a golden chocobo. You only need a green one.
I think just a black chocobo, or maybe just a river chocobo.
Yeah. I think you need a mountain one to get it, or maybe you do only need a river one.
We're doing it again.
I know. Here we go. Anyway, but the point is, though, you can get there, and that's why we've talked about it a couple times. That like, oh, there's this place, but don't go there yet. Okay, go there now. Yeah. So if you take Vincent here, if you don't take Vincent here, nothing happens. It's just a room.
Yeah, you walk in and a text box comes up that just says Vincent, and then as you're walking around, like a translucent text box will come up that just says Sephiroth. But like
Yeah.
as you're walking around, it says Vincent a lot. So
Yeah.
it kind of
Nudge,
is like,
nudge.
Hey, bring Vincent.
Yeah. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Who the fuck's that? Wait, yeah, if you come here but you haven't even found Vincent yet, will it say Vincent?
I wonder.
That's a good question.
That's
Who
a
the
good
fuck
question.
is Vincent?
Yeah. But if you bring Vincent, and I brought Red and Vincent. I don't remember what I was doing, but I brought the two of them.
Boys' night out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so you bring Vincent, and the first thing that happens when you walk into this room is you hear a voice say Sephiroth, and Vincent and everybody else separates from the party, and Vincent says, "That voice, it can't be Lucretia?" And you actually see like a apparition of Lucretia at the top of the screen. But I guess she's not like clear. She's not like a ghost, I guess.
Yeah,
she's a
so
ghost,
she actually
right?
looks. I think she looks like a physical. Like it actually seems like she's actually there, like in like actual form.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that like there's clearly something that's not right about her. She's some kind of, I don't know.
Something's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. But she notices that Vincent is there, and he's like, "Oh, Lucretia," and she tells him to stay back.
Yeah.
And we get like a flashback,
Yeah.
like right after that.
It kind of fades to white.
Okay, you want to go ahead and tell us about it?
Yeah, so then we get a little flashback where they are, and by they I mean there's 3 people in like scientist outfits, and then 1 person in a suit, and they're all kind of making their way towards the Shinra mansion. And we can tell that
Turk's suit.
Yeah, a Turk suit, and then 3 scientists, and we can tell that the one is Lucretia because we just saw her.
Yeah, and they're in Nibelheim.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it kind of just shows a couple of different like flashes of things that are going on. Like it's not really being explicit with what's going on, but you can kind of gather what's going on where you see them walk into the Shinra mansion, and then the Turk standing there kind of turns around and looks the other way. Then it shows that same Turk with Lucretia just standing next to like the little like well or the Mako reactor in Nibelheim, just like having a conversation. Then it flashes to them at the front gates, and she's like holding his hands with
yeah, that's
both
a real
hers.
interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like he has his hand out and she's holding his hand with both of hers, and then she like runs off.
Yeah, she runs off, and then it flashes again, and it shows her embracing one of the scientists, while that Turk looks all dejected and sad.
Yeah, puts his head down and kind of shakes it a little bit.
Damn, hate to get cooked.
You hate to see it, folks.
You
But then the
hate to
screen
see it.
flashes, goes to black, and it just says in white text, "If she is happy, then ... I don't mind."
Yeah, and is that the end of the first one?
I think so. Yeah. Then it flashes to inside one of the I guess the inn within Nibelheim.
Well, at some point, like there's 2 different flashbacks, right? Or no, there was only the one. Yeah, there's the one, and then we have to leave and come back later. You're right. I'm sorry. My mistake.
Yeah.
It's all right. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think I'm also confused by. No, I think there's another one where it kind of just shows quick cuts of each scene again, where it shows.
What
her
I meant
sitting-
is, I remember you have to leave and come
Yeah,
back.
I think that's a little bit later. I could be wrong about
Yeah,
that.
it is. It is. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So yeah, she's just kind of sitting at the table at the inn, like looking upset, and I think she's like rubbing her stomach a little bit.
Right.
So
Which I
it's
feel
kinda-
is like low polygon, no text version of telling you that somebody is pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty
Yeah.
easy to tell by even though it's the like low poly models and all of that. Like, it's pretty easy to tell just through their body language and their animations, like what's going on. So then after that, after it's showing that this woman's obviously pregnant, it flashes to the basement where like Sephiroth was doing all his research with all the books everywhere.
Gat's
And,
lab.
Yeah, exactly. And there's 2 of the scientists there, and the Turk is saying, "I'm against it. Why experiment on humans?" And then the scientist says, "She and I are both scientists." Then it flashes to black again, and it says, "After that, a child was born to Lucretia. The child's name was Sephiroth."
Ooh. Which I guess we already learned, but
Yeah.
it is kind of, we're getting it we're getting a bit more close to the source now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then it shows another scene back at the inn where Lucretia kind of just falls to her knees and collapses on the ground.
Right.
And it flashes back to the like experiment area, and it's the Turk confronting the other scientist.
Right. And they're obviously arguing with each other.
And the scientist is kind of grabbing his head and like thrashing about a little bit. Like he's clearly upset about something. I took that as this Turk is telling him that Lucretia, whatever is wrong with Lucretia is happening, which we can kind of gather with all of the pieces that we have already what's going on. But then the scientist pulls out a gun, which you can't see. It just kind of has his hand lifted up, and you hear like a bang noise, and shoots the Turk, and the Turk falls to his knees and onto the ground, and then he is laying on top of the table, and the scientist is experimenting on him.
Everything whites out for him. Yeah, but when he wakes up, the scientist is experimenting on him. Yeah,
and then he finally gets up, and he's all alone after it like fades to white again, and he's just kind of like writhing in agony. And he puts his hands to the sky and is like shaking his fists, and just says "Urgh." And then we see like who's actually speaking, and it says Vincent. And it's still the black like background and the white text, and it says, "This body is the punishment that's been given to me. I was unable to stop Professor Gast and Hojo, and Lucretia, I was unable to stop them. All that I was able to do was watch. That is my punishment." And then it kind of just fades to white, and we're back in the Crystal Cave area is what it's called.
Yeah. So obviously what we're looking at there is kind of the history of Vincent Hojo and Lucretia there. How they obviously all knew each other, and we assume. I mean, like, yeah, we don't assume. Vincent's literally multiple times said like the woman he loves was Lucretia, right? But she and Hojo had a child who was Sephiroth, and then Hojo experimented on them, or at least on Sephiroth using Genova's cells. And then Vincent tried to stop it. Hojo shot him, and then performed experiments on his body, which turned him into the creature that he is now.
A werewolf.
A werewolf and Jason Chainsaw Man and other things, yeah. But yeah, sorry. Anyway, yeah. So like you said, it kind of we're back in the Crystal Cave now, the area behind the waterfall, and Vincent says, "Lucretia, you're alive." And her text is interesting because it's on like a translucent background,
which has been reserved kind of for memories and kind of more ethereal presences, not actual like here in meat space.
Right. Then in the meat space.
She says, "I wanted to disappear. I couldn't be with anyone. I wanted to die, but Genova inside me wouldn't let me die.
Oof.
Lately, I dream a lot of Sephiroth, my dear, dear child. Ever since he was born, I never got to hold him. Not even once. You can't call me his mother. That's my sin." And then Vincent tries to walk up to her, I guess, to like comfort her or talk to her. And she says, "Stay back. Vincent, will you please tell me?" And he says, "What?" And she says, "Is Sephiroth still alive? I heard he died 5 years ago, but I see him in my dreams so often. And I know physically, like myself, he can't die so easily. Please tell me." And there's like a moment, and Cloud like walks up like he's going to tell Lucretia what our business is. Like, "Oh, we're in the crater. He's this monster or whatever." And Vincent puts out his hand and stops him and just says, "Lucretia, Sephiroth's dead."
Yeah.
And she fades away.
Yeah, and everything just kind of fades out, and then we're just in that cave, and there's like nothing else we can really do here.
Yeah, that's the end of that scene. It's very sad.
Mm-hmm. So like pretty much what we can gather is obviously Professor Guess and Hojo were heading into with Lucretia and Vincent. We're heading into what's it called, the Shinra Mansion, and that's kind of where all of this like evil scientist shit sort of started. Like we know that Gast had found Genova and thought Genova was an ancient, and that they were using their cells to try and create better soldiers and everything. So this is kind of showing how Vincent is tied to all of that and actually see it play out what happened.
Right. Yeah, because like I guess up until this point, like he's told us, but like he's the least connected in some ways. Probably because he's like an optional character, and they just didn't have that many scenarios for an optional character. Yeah. But this really ties him into the main story as somebody of importance. Yeah. But once you leave, you can fight like 10 battles, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 10.
And then come back. Yeah, and when you come back, there's an item up at the top of the Crystal Cave where Lucretia was standing, and you get his final weapon, the death penalty, and his final limit break, Chaos.
Fuck yeah.
So we want to talk about this?
Yeah, let's talk about him.
Let's go.
Death penalty powers up the more enemies that you kill. It also can be used like Barrett's, in that you can just kill so many enemies that you could use the overflow glitch. But the amount of time it would take you to actually do that is so insane. Yeah. Like it would take hundreds of hours to be able to get that powerful with it.
That's Dave Stereo's next
oh my god, yeah.
next grind.
right, yeah. Use the overflow glitch with Vincent. Oh my god. But, theoretically possible. You could do it.
Yeah.
And then Vincent's limit breaks. Let's get to it.
Hell yeah.
Vincent's limit breaks.
Limit breaks here on every FNFF. All right.
Level 1.
Yeah, so Vincent only has one limit break per level, but that limit break can manifest in different ways, if that makes sense. So there's still a lot of options, technically. But they all also cause him to go into kind of a berserk status, so you can't really control which one you get.
Right.
Yeah, but basically he's going to transform into different like beasts, right?
Good old universal monsters.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, level 1 is Galleon Beast.
And he turns into Abbott and Costello.
He turns into a like behemoth, I guess. Like a
bipedal behemoth.
A bipedal behemoth, yeah.
Yeah.
And it also gives him some stat increases, defense by 20, dexterity by 50, and his max HP becomes 130% of what it was.
He gains
Hell
the use
yeah.
of 2 attacks: Berserk Dance, which attacks a single target, and Beast Flare, which deals fire-based damage to all targets.
Beast Flare is pretty dope,
Yeah.
with the exception of when I first was using it in Nibelheim, all the dragons and creatures in the mountains all absorbed fire, and I was like, this sucks.
Yep, exactly. And like we said, you can't really control what he does, so you can kind of like shoot yourself in the foot if you're using his limit break.
Yep.
Level 2.
Death Gygus, which
Hell yeah.
It's Frankenstein.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Gonna say real knowledgeable people will know that's actually Death Gygus' monster.
Death Giga.
Yeah, because he looks like a Frankenstein.
He's a Hulk Frankenstein.
And in each version, you just get similar increases: 50% magical defense, 70% dexterity, 200% max HP. So stuff like that.
And his 2 attacks now are Giga Dunk,
Giga Dunk,
which deals
Kobe.
deals physical
So
damage
good.
to a single target, and Live Wire, which delivers lightning-based
Yep.
magic. So there's a pattern here.
Yeah, right.
I just love the name Giga Dunk.
Yeah, Giga Dunk.
Did that come
Carl,
up?
you're a Giga Dunk.
Didn't that come up
Aw,
recently?
thanks, Curtis.
Say what?
I feel like Giga Dunk came up recently. Maybe this is
We were
Super
probably
Dunk.
talking about Super Dunk.
Yeah, Super Dunk. This is
Not
the
to be
evolution of
confused with
Super
Super
Dunk is Giga Dunk. Death Gygus comes out and just sinks so many fucking free throws.
Giga Dunk better be able to play Super Dunk in the remake.
Level 3.
Hellmasker.
Hellmasker.
It's Jason. Jason?
It's Jason.
It's
yeah.
Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason. Well, I mean, it also might be a reference to Splatterhouse, like those
Yeah.
old games.
Because the first attack is called the Splatter Combo.
Yeah, exactly. And
So-
I think like the Splatterhouse like character or whatever is basically just a Jason ripoff. So this is if
A
it's a
buff
ripoff
Jason.
of Splatterhouse, it's just a ripoff of a ripoff, but it's still pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, yeah. And the other one is Nightmare, which inflicts just a shit ton of effects. Sleep, poison, silence, confuse, frog, and mini on a single opponent. So it really,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
really does it up.
Hell yeah.
Who's the
I also like when you transform, at least with Hellmasker, which is the one that I was transforming into the most. Just the animation's kind of funny because it's just like laying down completely still and then like slowly floats up in like an uncanny way, which is very like horror movie, but it's also pretty silly.
Yeah. It's very who was I trying to think of? Casey Jones from Ninja Turtles is the other one.
Oh fuck yeah!
the
Hell
other
yeah.
scary hockey mask man.
Yeah.
And yeah, the one we just got, Chaos. Turns him into the Christian devil.
Yeah. Turns him into Diablos from Final Fantasy VIII.
Turns him into Diablo from
looks
Diablo 2.
And he looks like
3.
Gargoyle from Gargoyles.
Looks like gargoyle. Gargoyle.
Gargolchin.
Um,
Gargolchuin.
Yeah, gargolchuin. Gargoyle. Yeah, so defense and magic defense both increased by 100%, which is pretty fucking dope. Has 2 attacks. The Chaos Saber, which is a physical attack for 2.5 times normal damage to all enemies at once, which is dope. And the fucking
Yeah.
Stan
Satan
Slam.
The Satan Slam. The Stan Slam.
Santa Slam.
Santa
Merry
Slam.
Christmas.
Uh,
Come on and slam. And welcome to the...
which is dope. 28% chance to inflict instant death, or if enemies are immune to death, does 5 and 5/8 times normal damage to all enemies.
Fuck yeah.
Nice.
Pretty dope.
Also, the animation for it is really kick-ass, too. There's like a skull.
I didn't see it.
There's like an evil like skull face that like materializes out of the ground underneath them, and then it like sparks up and shit. It's really fucking cool.
It's pretty fucking metal.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Satan slam dancing.
So
What the fuck is up, Denny's?
so yeah, I guess that's every single limit break and
Yeah.
limit break and ultimate weapon.
Hell yeah.
Yes,
we did it.
indeedy. But there's still one more himbo I want to talk about. There's one more
Yeah.
thing I want to talk about before we
The
go
last
into
of the
crater.
himbos.
That's right. The last of the himbos. It's a good Kevin Costner movie, is it? Yeah, so this is like literally the last thing to do, I think, before going into Northern Crater, right? Like we've pretty
Yeah.
much covered everything else.
This is the final thread to be tied up, I think.
Yeah, I
about
think so.
What the hell happened in Nibelheim?
Right, yeah. because there's one character we really don't know about their whereabouts and such yet, and that would be the himbo Zach Fair.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, who will recall Cloud is basically basing his personality and identity off. Yeah, that we learned in the big flashback. So,
Spiritual successor.
it's spiritual successor to Zach. Yeah. So to get all this going, we need to go back down into the Shinra mansion to the lab there.
The gas lab that we just saw.
There's really no other prerequisites for it. You just have to go down there, and it just automatically triggers as soon as you walk in there. So it's not too confusing or anything like that. But once you walk down there, Cloud starts kind of having like a little vision of the past, right? And he sees those two tanks that we were talking about earlier that have like the text scrawled on them. That's like, oh,
like
when it's
scratched.
dinner time, we'll break out of here. You know?
Hell
Yeah. And Zach and Cloud are both floating in them. And I
Cloud's
think
still in his soldier uniform.
Cloud is still in his Shinra MP uniform, right?
Yeah, and Zach's there in like Cloud's outfit, and I was gonna say,
Right.
oh no,
His
it
Gohan
doesn't
outfit.
look like
Yeah.
his Gohan outfit exactly. Yeah, for a second I thought he had the what's it called, Buster Sword on him, but it's just his hair.
Yeah, and so like we learned today from Zengen's letter that he wrote that as soon as he saved Tifa, Hojo and the rest of the scientists showed up to take whoever was in that reactor back for experimentation. So we can already kind of assume that this is directly after engaging Sephiroth. Was it 5 years ago?
Yes.
6 years ago, something like that?
7.
Sure.
Yeah, anyway.
I think it was 5. Yeah.
Did Tifa say 7 though? It was like it was actually 7 years.
Well,
Or something like that.
Tifa said 7 because Cloud was gone for 2 years, and then
Yeah.
Cloud saw her 2 years after that, which was like the 5-year thing. But she didn't see Cloud because he was hiding.
Yeah, fair.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
I think that's how that continuity works.
So if you'll remember, one of the things that was scratched in onto the vats that they're floating in was dinner time. That's when we'll make our break. The scene starts up with a Shinra employee walking in with he's has his arms out. I'm assuming he's supposed to be holding a tray. And
Yeah,
it says,
exactly.
I
Hey,
thought he was a Frankenstein at first.
Oh no, there he is.
he says, "Hey, this is your food." And he goes and sets it down on the table and turns around to I guess let the two to Zach and Cloud out so they can eat. And Zach just busts the fuck out and fucks this dude up straight up. He
Yeah.
just throws him against the wall. And Zach lets Cloud out. And the shot is really cool too. It's like a very action shot where it shows Zach getting back the Buster Sword and helping Cloud up. And they're gonna
Yeah.
escape. And so they bust out of Shinra Mansion. It shows Zach dragging Cloud along.
Through the gates, yeah.
Yeah, through the gates in Nibelheim. And the screen goes black for a moment, and you hear Zach say, "Oh, here, put this on. It smells a little, but don't complain. You look pretty good in that." And I think it's where Cloud got his clothes that he's been wearing the
Yeah.
whole game up to this point. Which I think is kind of weird that Zach just had that, but that's fine. He just
Yeah, you
had
always got
another
to bring a change of clothes.
in your pocket or wherever
shit
you have
yourself.
it. Yeah, it's true. I'm never prepared for when I shit myself. I'm always like, if only I'd listened to Carl. every time. And then we get another cool little one-off screen, and I really like this screen.
This one's really good.
Have we seen a truck driving? I guess we did in Midgar during the motorcycle chase game.
Well, that was kind of more of a tricycle with a cab in it.
Yeah, that's fair. This is just a pickup
This
ass
is just like a pickup
truck.
truck.
This
And
is a gray GMC Sonoma that's rusted out.
Now, is this the one that they have at Nibelheim? I don't think it is.
I don't think so, because I don't think that one was like a cream color.
Because I think it wasn't Tifa saying how like that truck had always been there. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. That's what I was thinking too. But yeah, either way, Zach and Cloud are in the bed of a pickup truck, and you can see the driver in the truck as well through the passenger side window. It's like a profile shot of the truck. And
I just started thinking of. Do y'all ever watch the Brack Show? When that
Oh,
was
yeah.
I never have, but
I was thinking of that episode.
oh wait, the driving down Highway 40 in my big old
Yeah,
pickup truck.
with Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah, that's right. In my big old pickup truck.
But but before that,
Splice that whole song in right here.
I'm driving down Highway 40, my big old pickup truck.
But what made me think is like, are people just driving from town to town? like just ignoring monsters on the way.
I wonder. I guess so.
No Final Fantasy ever does that. Driving down the highway
Ooh.
with cars
Just wait for number 8.
and bumping into monsters.
Yeah. So Zach like knocks on the back window of the cab and says, "Yo, old guy, we at Midgar yet?" And the old guy's like, "Shut up! You're lucky I even gave you a ride."
I like the way that they like stylize him saying "shut up." He says "shut up."
Yeah, shut up, shut up,
Shut up.
get over there, over here. And Zach turns around to Cloud, and Cloud's like doing that head bobbing thing that he was doing when he was in the wheelchair, right?
Yeah,
and like,
exactly.
and we know that they've been experimented on now, right? That they had.
He's pretty much the state is that he was in when he popped up at the off the trains
deal.
platform,
Right. Because we remember like when Tifa found him in the train station in the flashback in Midgar, he was just sitting there and bobbing his head around until Tifa woke up or came up to him. The Genova cells woke up and started building his identity and memory from that.
Yeah.
So right now he's just like a zombie again. But Zach says, "When zombie." Zach says, "What are you gonna do once we get to Midgar?" And Cloud just ... Zach says, "I know what I'm gonna do. I got a place I can crash for a while. Oh no, wait, the mother lives there too. I guess that's out."
Lame.
Love that.
Lame. So yeah, so he's obviously dating Aerith at this point.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. So
Zach, be nicer to your mother-in-law.
yeah, he says, "Yep, gotta change my plans. No matter what I do, I'll need some money first. Hey, you want to start a business? What can we do?" And he starts a Silicon Valley tech bro fucking company.
Called Shinra Inc.
He fucking. I was trying to think of like a stupid like.
I want to get into real estate.
Yeah, you're in real
Yeah.
estate. He becomes a landlord. He gets
Boo.
canceled. Boo.
I love this whole time Cloud doesn't say a single word.
No.
Zach's just talking out loud to him.
Yeah, I know. Well, well, you know what? The thing is, too, I don't know. I guess maybe it explains it in some of the other games about what happens beforehand and everything. But I don't really know Cloud and Zach's dynamic between each other. Like, we don't know in FF7. As far as I know right now, he might just be some soldier who just came on the trip. And, like, they've both experienced a very, very traumatic thing together and escaped from this place together. And so they're kind of, like, automatically, like, really, really tight just from that, you know?
Right.
I took it as like since we've seen them interact before without knowing it, when we saw like the flashback that Cloud had where, you know, he's doing squats in the truck and talking to the one MP who's like, "Oh, I'm sick. Oh, I never get sick." This is pretty much the exact same scene that's happening, except with like the actual like people involved in their correct places. So like Cloud's sort of just being, you know, himself the way he was then. And, like, we get to see, like, Zach is actually the cocky asshole. Like, that was never really who Cloud was. Cloud was way more reserved. But now Zach is, like... We see it, like, from the outside, and we're like, yeah, Zach's kind of a dick.
Yeah, he's very like, type A. Like,
yeah, he's very on. He's very, like, full of himself for good reason. And just kind of, like... No chill, but like, but also very nice, and so and
he has a positive jock energy.
I've met some people like this over Christmas break. Just like introduce someone and just start talking. Don't say a single thing. They don't ask me a single question. They just like start going on and like, I know everything about you now, but I'm still just
Yep.
That's all right. You get to remain a mystery. Ooh.
Who am I?
Yeah, but I kind of took it as with like the other flashbacks that we've seen of them where they were like friendly enough where Zach was kind of trying to be like, you know, the mentor to Cloud and everything. And, you know, they got along well enough. But I think like you were saying, Curtis, like after all the shit that they just went through, now they're like even more bonded and they're like, you know, like brothers in arms.
Yeah, absolutely. He says, "Hey, Cloud, do you think there's anything I'd be good at?" And he knocks on the window of the cab again and goes, "Hey, old guy, what do you think I'd be good at?" And like the old guy hasn't said anything. He's just like, "What the fuck," you know?
He's like, this fucking guy won't stop.
I know. He goes, "What are you yapping at? You're still young, ain't you? Young folks should try everything. Got to pay your dues while you're young. Go out and look for what you really want."
Fucking Uber drivers speaking truth.
Yeah. Zach says, "Try everything." That's easy for him to say. And then he does those fucking squats that Cloud always does when he's like getting ready for something. Which is why I was like, oh yeah, like when Cloud was doing it way, way, way early in the series, I was just like, oh, I know why he does those squats now. Yep. And Zach says, "Hey, of course. I've got more brains and skill than most other guys. That settles it. I'll become a mercenary." which is
yeah.
that's a wild fucking jump to make there, buddy.
I'm gonna go to college, get my doctorate, and become a mercenary.
yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, and even the truck driver goes, "Hey, didn't you hear a word that I said?" Because even the driver's like, "You fucking idiot."
He's like, that's not what I said, you asshole.
And then Zach goes, "Yeah, thanks, pops." Like he's like, that's actually what he told him to do.
It's so good.
He says, "Listen, I'm gonna become a mercenary, and that's that. Boring stuff, dangerous stuff, anything for money. I'm gonna be rich." And then he looks at Cloud and says, "So Cloud, what are you gonna do?" And then the driver starts in again. He goes, "No, you got it all wrong." Like he's like trying to explain, like, "You idiot."
The driver's like, fuck, somehow the blood is now on my hands.
Yeah, I know. These fucking assholes are gonna get
The
themselves killed.
sociopath.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, dude, like that's the thing. It's like that's why like I like Zach's characterization in this game because he's just kind of like a moron. He's just like a real like buff, like skilled moron. You know what I mean?
Real big jock, yeah.
He's big jock. He's got nice jock energy.
Nice jock energy.
List of references, that truck driver.
Yeah, right. But in response to Cloud, what are you gonna do? Cloud just groans.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, ugh. And he goes, "Just kidding. I won't leave you hanging like that. We're friends, right? Mercenaries, Cloud. That's what you and me are gonna be. You understand?" And the scene fades out, and Zach grows up to be a great mercenary, and everything goes right for him
Yeah.
for always.
He
It's
starts
great.
his great mercenary adventure.
That's right.
Called
Actually, it
Crisis
immediately
Core.
comes up into another scene, and Cloud and Zach are running away from Shinra guards, and it looks like Zach gets some of them like off screen. He like runs off screen and fucks some up, right?
Yeah, like so he's still dragging Cloud. Cloud is still very much like out of commission, and then he kind of like puts Cloud down out of the way and like runs forward, and we hear gunshots and stuff, and we also hear like the blade noises that we hear sometimes. So he's like fighting them off and taking some of them down.
Right.
He runs back in, and we hear more gunshots, and he just gets he's just down.
He just gets lit up with some, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And like so much so it blows him backwards.
Yeah,
And yeah, we're kind of on like just like to kind of give the area that we're in. We can see that we're on like a cliffside, right?
yeah.
like
we
we're on
can see
a-
something off in the distance, but we're not really sure what is off. in the
Yeah, we
distance.
can't tell what it is yet, but it's almost like we're looking over a canyon or something, and we're on like the precipice of it.
Yeah,
But he gets lit up and falls down like on his back, and two Shinra guards and one of the commanders walk up, and they just straight up execute him right there on the ground. It's really fucking brutal.
like
Like, it's-
like you can see the gun, and like they're just right in front of him, and one of the guys just keeps like does not stop shooting. Zach.
Unloads his machine gun into him, and like his
And
like
Zach is,
body's
like,
like
twitching.
convulsing and shit. Yeah, it's really brutal. Like I was like
Grisly.
when I played it, I was like, this might be the most brutal thing in this game right here. Is just
Yeah.
watching this dude unload a gun into Zach, and his body's all twitching and like
Yeah, and he does it
convulsing around.
twice, right? Like,
Yeah,
he was already down, and then this guy does that and does it for a while. And Vincent,
Oh, yeah.
or not Vincent, Zach is like twitching a bit, and then he like goes limp, and then
Yeah,
the guy
just
keeps
unloads
doing it.
again. Yeah, so Zach is dead as shit.
Extra
now.
dead.
He's,
The thing is just for the player, like, don't worry, he's not coming back.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't expect him to come
We
back in
cannot,
the end.
we can't emphasize this enough.
Yeah,
He's
yeah, right.
dead.
And then the soldiers walk over to Cloud, who's still in that state, on the ground, and the soldier says, "What do you want to do with him?" And Cloud just says, "Oh, good," because he's still groaning. And the commander says, "Forget it, just leave him." And they walk away. And for a moment there, Cloud just like lays there, and he looks up and sees dead Zach, and he kind of crawls over to him, and then takes his Buster Sword and like holds his head, and like I get the feeling he's doing like one of those like where he screams up into the air and he's like no or something, or he's like
Yeah.
having a very very another traumatic moment, like
Platoon style.
yeah, right.
Also, it starts raining here. Like as he's crawling, it just starts raining, which is like
Right.
so good.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. This scene is it's pretty wild.
It's very History of Trunks, the Dragon Ball movie that talks about like future Trunks, and when he sees Gohan dead and he's just screaming in the rain, and he goes Super Saiyan for the first time, and that's why
Yeah.
Cloud's hair is gold.
Yeah, because he went Super Saiyan here. But the screen starts to tilt upward as well. We start being able to see what's on the other side of that canyon, and it turns out that this is right across from Midgar.
Yeah,
So they were right outside of Midgar during
they
this.
almost made it.
Yeah, man, it's so sad. Almost made it, but it makes sense timeline wise because
Yeah.
they were on the run for a while or a long time. Cloud somehow found his way into Midgar, and who knows? The thing is, we don't know how long they were on the run, and we don't know how long they were. Or Cloud was just I guess a homeless man in Midgar, like
Yeah.
was kind of out of it and everything. But eventually,
A guy who are sick.
yeah, he was a guy who are
In
sick.
Midgar.
But I guess over a course of years, eventually, Tifa found him. The Genova cells that were in him got activated, and then he built that personality that we know as Cloud and joined Avalanche.
Yeah.
Which is also pretty wild to think about, that like when we first met Cloud on the opening bombing mission was probably like right after that. Like the Cloud that we knew was brand new at that point. So like we're like going through learning his history, and it's like, no, we pretty much played all of his history. Like he didn't have that personality until just before that.
So after this thing, I immediately went back through the lab and started reading the
Yes,
records again, which
yep.
now
Yeah,
I
I did the
was
same
like, we
thing.
already knew this.
Yep.
Like, but we just
Yeah.
didn't know it was talking about Cloud and Zack, because at this point we just didn't know about Zack at all.
Yeah, right.
Or
Yeah.
But then when we go back to the test tubes, it does say like Project C and Project Z.
Yep. Yep.
I think it's worth reading those again. I have screenshots of
Yeah.
all of them just because it finally ties everything together. So
They don't have log dates on them, do they? That kind of give us an idea of timeline.
they do, but it almost seems like it's redacted for some of it.
Okay.
So
So we definitely don't know the timeline.
yeah, so the timeline is still murky, but we go up to the one, and again, we already read this on the podcast like months ago, to the point
Right.
where when Curtis was reading it, I had like forgotten about this, and I was just like, oh, okay. And then I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I know. Because the thing is, like, when you're first reading it, you're like, oh, this could be Cloud. Oh, wait, no, it couldn't be Cloud because he doesn't fit these.
The description
specific-
doesn't make sense. It's just like, oh, they
Yeah,
must be
there's two
doing this
people.
to everyone.
Yeah, and then you learn that there was also Zack, and so also you're like, oh, wait, he fits those descriptions.
Yeah, and it
the
spells it out
other person-
perfectly. It says,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think in retrospect, I guess if you want to read it again, but in retrospect, it was like, yeah, it was describing something like, oh, this might be Cloud, and then like, oh no, that person's dead.
Yeah, so it can't be.
It can't be Cloud, and it can't be this other person because this doesn't sound like Cloud at all.
Right, yeah.
And so it was like my mistake.
Yeah, so
But
it says
Right, yeah,
it's super wild.
on Cloud's like pod that he was in, it says C project, specimen in parentheses B, code C. A scratch left by a fingernail inside the beaker. Let's get out of here. And then you go over to the other one and it says C project, specimen A, code Z. A scratch left by a fingernail inside the breaker. Feeding time. That is our chance.
Yeah.
And did you go read the?
The escapee reports? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so escapee report number 1. X month, X day. 2 escapees were located near Midgar. Escapee report number 2. Description at the time of capture. A. Former member of soldier. Number, like redacted or just no number. No effect could be detected from either Mako radiation therapy or Genova on him. B. Regular number, again redacted. Reaction to Genova detected.
Which, like, right there, when we originally were thinking about these characters, we were like, oh, Cloud was in Soldiers, so he must have been the first one, right?
He must have been A.
He must have been A. Yeah, right, because he was in Soldier. But then we learned he wasn't, so he's actually the other one.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting, though, is that A, which we already know is Zack, no effect could be detected from either Mako radiation therapy or Genova on him. But with B, reaction to Genova was detected.
Right.
Which is why he's
Which
just
is
kind of
interesting.
got all that pep in his step still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
which is why he
can,
was able to kind of like transcend Soldier, even though he was never in Soldier.
Right, and also how he could keep up with Sephiroth, and the reason Sephiroth was able to control him as well.
Yeah, exactly. Zack was just too strong, and that's why he got owned. Escapee report number 3, status. A, shot for resisting. B, escaped during A's resistance. Which, like, kind of isn't true.
Yeah,
Like,
they
it
let
said
him
that They just
go.
kind of left him. But they were like, oh, shit, you know what?
Yeah, we shouldn't have let him there.
That looks
Let's-
bad on us. Let's
Yeah.
just say he escaped.
Right.
Somehow that looked less bad.
Right.
All right, and then the final one is escapee report number 4, other. B's whereabouts are currently unknown, but pursuit is unnecessary due to his diminishing consciousness, awaiting further instructions.
Yep.
That's
Wild how that was there the
Well,
whole
that
time.
fucking ties it all
God,
up.
what a good game.
Yep.
What a good story. The writing in this is just insane.
Yeah, so fucking good.
Ugh.
Top notch.
Oh, God, I get the willies. I get the shivers.
Yeah,
It's
this-
so
yeah,
good.
So
this game just constantly does this thing. I guess I've never really had any other media where it just keeps kind of tying up. I don't know, tying up threads that I didn't know were there.
Yeah,
in a
right,
weird way.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Or was like,
yeah.
oh, that's just world building, background fluff and stuff like that, and like you had no idea that
It's like incredibly important. Yeah, yeah,
it's so good.
yeah. It's
And
it's something else.
Again, going back to friend of the show and future enemy of the show, Corey, his way of talking about Final Fantasy VII and how genius it is, it's that everyone knows the quote unquote twist of Final Fantasy VII, which is that Aerith dies,
Right.
but they don't know the actual twist of the game.
Yeah, right. That's so good. That's so good.
So amazing.
Yeah,
So,
this game's like 20 years old. I didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's, oh, man.
New Star Wars is like 2 weeks old. I know everything about it. Everyone knows everything about it. It seems like.
Yeah,
They've
it's,
introduced a new character who is friends with Wedge and Biggs in Star Wars, and her name is Jessie.
If only.
After this, I did go to Gungaga to just see if there was any other kind of like conversation you can have with Zach's parents.
Oh.
yeah.
And I went in there, and they just say the same thing. They're like, "Did you
Okay.
know someone in Soldier named Zach?" And like, "Oh, we haven't seen him in 10 years."
Oh, well. Yeah.
So sad.
and it's
that's
like,
sad.
dude, Cloud, come on, say something.
Yeah. Ugh. Well,
Yeah,
that's that.
it would have been cool if there was like a little more
yeah.
there, but this game's still fucking it's still perfect.
Yeah.
Like all of
yes,
this shit.
absolutely.
I'm really
Everything
excited.
with the exception of the snowboard game is perfect. Sorry, go ahead.
I really hope they keep all this like core stuff in whatever they decide to remake.
Yeah.
Because it does seem like
Yeah.
already like just seeing what I've seen from like this first chapter, like they're kind of embellishing it and kind of
Right.
putting a
right.
nice little sheen polish on and making it a little more bigger.
Yeah.
And either with new characters or new plot points and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious how
Yeah.
they're going to handle the whole Zack stuff once we get to there.
Yeah.
It'll be especially interesting with the fact that they're introducing a new first-class soldier.
Right.
Yeah, that will be interesting. Yeah.
The biker dude.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
mind if
The
they take some
mulletman.
embellishments with the story. Like that's fine. You're making a new thing.
yeah, I mean,
That's
because
cool.
this game's always going to exist.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll always be able to go.
That's
back
my
to
whole
this.
thing. I'm like, yeah, just another version of it. Cool.
Yeah.
That's not just Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah. Man. Well, I guess I'm ready to go into the North Crater, y'all.
We know
I
everything.
think we're finally ready.
Yeah, we know everything now.
We know everything now. That's right.
Now we're ready to
Yeah,
go.
but first we got to go back to the high wind.
So we're on the high wind.
And then on the high wind we will save and
Yeah.
come back to.
And we'll get ready to go take on Sephiroth.
to fuck
I'm
shit
ready.
up.
I'm ready. I'm built. Let's do it.
This ends tonight.
This ends in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, we're coming down the home stretch.
Yep.
Happy 2020, everybody.
Yeah,
Happy 2020.
2020.
By the time you hear this, AGDQ will only have 2 days left.
Yeah.
And I will have been very excited for the Final Fantasy VIII speedrun on Tuesday. That happened 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Your time. Wow, wasn't that great the way they did that one thing? Oh,
I can't
boy, tell
believe
you.
that all those crazy things happened. That happened.
I know. Those nondescript crazy things. Wow.
And who could forget when that one thing happened?
There's a lot of jumping, a lot of clipping.
A lot of jumping, a lot of clipping. If it's
Can't believe you can do the infinite sword glitch with Squall and use it to get into the Shadow Temple early. With bomb hovers.
All right.
They finally got Sonic and Melee.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anything else, y'all?
No, I think
No,
that'll
I think
do
that's it.
Take us to hell, Alex.
Take us to hell. Only 3 more of these.
Yeah.
Take us to Hellmasker.
All right. Theme music is a remix by DJ Cutman. Feature music by Nubo Metsu. I'm curious what I'm going to do with this music here because there's a lot of just talking about weapons.
Yeah.
Do we talk about the nice music that plays in the truck?
It is very nice.
I think it's one that we've heard before. I can't remember where, but it's nice.
I think we heard it in the town of Calm.
That's the...
No, I don't think it was
way.
Calm.
No, was it not Calm?
No.
Well, I'm full of.
But when you go back to
toys.
Calm, it's playing Heart of Anxiety, and
Oh,
not
really?
just the
Maybe
nice
it's like the
Calm song,
Farmer
yeah.
Boy song. Yes.
Oh, was it the song outside of Elmira's house?
Could be.
I don't know.
I forget.
I'll find
We'll
out in the
figure it out.
editing room.
Sounds good.
Cool. Leave us a review on iTunes. Haven't seen one in a while. But
Yeah, what the hell, listeners?
we're coming we're coming down the home stretch on this season. So if you have any like suggestions of things we could do in the future, feel free to either, it's a good opportunity to immortalize it on the iTunes page for us, or reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Every FNFF.
Yeah, that's right.
We are very active on all those. So yeah, if there's any ideas you have for coming up, because we're gonna be talking to. I mean, you probably know by now, but we're probably going to be doing Final Fantasy, the original one,
Yes.
next season.
We're going to do Final Fantasy, A Phantom Menace.
Right.
That's right.
So if you have any ideas for like either segments, just general shit we should cover, trivia,
Jokes, bits,
memes,
goofs,
and gaffs,
Goofs and
maybe a
gaffs.
gaff or two. Yeah, just definitely let us know, and we won't do the bad ones.
I wouldn't want to get canceled.
the day I
Cross
got
slash.
canceled.
What was the best day of my life? Goodbye.
So long.
See ya.